Hey you guys, this is Dawn. Welcome to Gulf Coast October. And I'm redoing an old video where I did something called the God Box, and I decorate a box, and but it doesn't have to be a God box, it can be like a whatever box, but mine tends to be a God box. I want to do this in a way that you can, hit pause if you want to do this too. This is pretty thin paper. A trick to making thin paper tougher is to go ahead and paint it and let it dry, and then, now it's tougher. It's got some thickness to it. I didn't let mine dry, but, I would recommend that. So this is a pattern painting that I do when I do tutorials with other people who, are just too afraid to paint. I always love doing the roses or the flowers, and it's interesting to me. I can tell how shy somebody is by how small they make their flowers at the end. I always like to do those roses. One of the things is to get people to practice being brave enough to go bold. Yeah, go big, go bold. It can be scary, but this is just paint. It's just paint, it's just paper. It'll be okay. You could add more meaning to it by addressing each leaf as a prayer, a hope. Sorry about that, that's Kyle. You could do your roses as things that symbolize very specific things. The smaller leaves for me sometimes represent where I'm new and growing in something, and the larger leaves remind me to be patient and kind with other people that are new in their journey of something. I took down the other video because I can't even handle watching it. There's cringe factors when I hear my own voice and everything, but it's stuff I'm used to. But that video, I could practice what I preach and be kind to the old me that was new and learning and just flat out cringy. I could do that, but not today. You could tell I had been around a lot of 4-H kids presenting presenting projects, because I sounded like a 4-H kid presenting a project. But you know what? We all start somewhere. We start, and then if you got to, you can go back. Okay, I got to move on with the whole topic of this. It's so humid out that my paint was just not drying, and it happens. But again, it's paint, and you can paint over it, and you can use a blow dryer, or, whatever you got to do. So for me, I tend to call these it's a God box. It's where I decorate a tin or a box or even a book cover, whatever you got. Whenever I have problems where I need, I got to get it out of my system. So it could even be, a resentment box or a prayer box, obviously, or a box where you're sorting out if you feel like you're being gaslit, or if it's a book, you can make it in sections. I'm literally painting very simple in case somebody else wants to do this. This is like barely a step away from finger painting. It's not detailed. This is something you really could do if you wanted to do this. You could even just paint this on canvas. At the end of the video, you'll see where I did the same thing on a canvas. Some other things that, you might need to put in a box like this are where you struggle with boundaries or you struggle with fears. And the point behind calling it a God box, or, if maybe you're into the Ganesh box, or whatever you're into, right? The point of it is that, you're giving it to a power greater than yourself. For me, I just say it's God. It can be whatever you need. And used to, I would write words and things on the box. This time, I'm just going to do art. I'm not going to write anything on it. I'm not going to let anybody, who's curious that finds it, give them any reason to open it. If you live with people that go through your stuff, this might not be a great idea. I started doing these boxes and showing people how to do them because people would tell me when I was struggling with something, or I was upset or mad or whatever, they'd say, give it to God. And I had no idea what that meant. I'm so literal minded. I'm like, how do you give something to God? I mean, I keep telling God to take it, but I still have it. Like, what does that mean? And I also am a person who journals, and I had to start journaling because I was in situations where my sanity was just like, it was at the mercy of other people that would constantly deny things that really happened. So I started being somebody who kept records, and I would have to write out, like everything that was going on. But there would be specific things, and I would need, help, like heavenly help or whatever, where people would just get frustrated and agitated and want me to get over things really quick. So I learned to write them down, and I called it the God box. I'd write down these little things I was going through. Maybe I was at the store, I would rip off a piece of a receipt and jot it down, put it in my pocket. And then later I would find them in my pocket. I would read it and go, oh yeah. And I would stick it in the God box. I might even say something along the lines of, okay, here, God, it's yours. It's in the box now. This became very helpful for me because it's like having a notebook by your bedside where you can't stop thinking. So you write down your worries. So it's in the book, it's in the God box, whatever. And then I have permission to think about other things. Now I've put that worry somewhere else. It's there if I need it later. So therefore I can, I can quit hanging on to it, as much. It's a great practice in faith. I have to practice faith my own way because I see so many people who claim that they have all this faith, but then they have to scream in people's faces that don't believe the way they believe. And that is not faith. I've had the unfortunate experience of learning that having to hold these things in and figure them out on our own and not having anyone to talk to or any place to put any of it leads to autoimmune disease. And once you have it, man, it'll wreak havoc on your entire existence. So this practice isn't just about writing something down and putting it away and ignoring it. It's literally about believing that, these are things that are worthy of writing down. These are things that are worthy of God's time or whoever your higher power is. It's worthy of the time of whoever it is that's large and in charge and loves you and wants to help you. One time I had an entire book based on one person. That's how tough things got. And me personally, I wrote prayers all over the outside of the book for the person, that was making me bonkers, that they could have peace. I always encourage people to pray for those people to have peace that make us nuts, because if they have peace, they won't have the need to go around destroying innocent people. Okay, so I get my X-Acto knife here, and if you want, you can punk a hole on the top of it. Punk a hole. I don't want to do that with this one. I just want to do it normal. And I'm cutting my paper out. When I tried to do it the first time, it didn't line up right. You see, I had to go back, and that's okay. I have to be patient with myself. This was the first one that I tried to do, and I forgot to record, so I'm using this to fill in the gap. I could have done more with this. I kind of wanted to paint a door and make it more decorative, but for now, this is fine. I might do another project where I do it that way. But I tape it on there just to kind of see. But I messed up and realized I needed to take it back off. And I also decided to do glue right on the can. It made it so much easier than trying to get the glue on the paper that's, still wet, because that's how I roll. You can seal this with an acrylic coating or something if you want, or you can just leave it like this. It's whatever you want to do. If it's not fun, then it just, bleh. I'm going to go ahead and have some blank papers and pens and pencils in here, because when I'm in a moment where I need to put something in the God box, the last thing I want to do is hunt for paper and a pen. Out in the world, you might have to do that with a notepad or something, but I'm going to go ahead and do peace and love. I'm going to kind of christen the box with peace and love, because anybody I'm praying for and myself, I want peace and love. I'm going to put a resentment in here that I'm going to give to God, where somebody who had to take me to the emergency room one time, saw me with an IV, denied that it ever happened. I was so confused. I just went the other day and looked through my records, and yes. This right here, God, resistance equals victory, was a man who was talking about that where we have the most resistance, let God work on us to make it one of our greatest victories. And this one is a prayer for strength, where I'm going to be doing some new things in my life. I'm having to make a career choice, and I know that going slow can lead to the greatest achievements. When we want instant gratification, we can make rash decisions. Our intuition can go awry. But I need God to be with me in it. I need strength to be able to achieve this ability to go slow. And something you can do, it's okay to do this, is to go back and look through it later and see where you've grown, or see where you're not growing, or where you need more help, and, put it back in the box. And there we have it. There she is. I think she's pretty, and you see the painting in the background. That it's this thing that I like to do. And yeah, be blessed, be a blessing, blessed be, stay golden. And here's a clip from the old video.
I'm in a new situation, and I need to pray. I'm gonna grab, this is a receipt. So yesterday I got a phone call and it just threw me. And then I figured out that this was inner child overcoming. So it makes me think about not having tools to deal with other people's opinion. So if I think back to myself as a little child, where did that stem from? And it stemmed probably from insecurity and not have anybody to talk to. So I'm going to write, please give me someone to talk to. I'm lonely.
Honestly, today I am surrounded by people and there's always someone to talk to. It means I also have to listen, but it means I have someone to talk to.